I mean, I spent years with some of these guys, right? And I know them more, know them on the mats and off the mats. And yeah, it takes time, right? Like, and that's one of the things, like I said, is that you takes time to build this relationship with these guys, to get to know them. And I want them to trust me, right? They see me as a coach, and when I give them a plan or give them I tell them to do something, I want them to be like, okay, yeah, I trust him. I know what he wants from me is the best thing, right? And yeah, I mean, that's, I guess I want to say is relationships and communication has been super important for me, and that's something that I actually learned from somebody that I worked with, Max Gartner. He's been my mentor recently, and he worked with me leading up to the Tokyo Games, and that's something that I picked up from him. And just the importance of relationship, the importance of communication with athletes, and building that trust with them. Because if they don't trust the process, it's not going to work, right? If they're constantly, questioning why we're doing this, it's not going to work. And that's something that these guys, in the last 3-4 years that I worked with, they trusted the process, and with that, they became successful, right? So, and not everybody does it. I have to say, not everybody's going to buy into it, and that's just a reality. But the ones that do often, tend to be more successful, I guess I would say. Yeah.
Right. Do you ever have a hard time managing your own success? I mean, as a coach, you obviously want to win just like a judo player, but the unfortunate side is that a coach never gets to go to a tournament and become undefeated. Even when you have an athlete, as an athlete, you go and sometimes you win gold medal and you go, look, I didn't lose anything. I had a great day. I had an amazing day. This kind of hit me when I first started coaching local judo tournaments. I went to a tournament with 20 kids, and I talked to some of my coaches afterwards, and I'm like, man, I don't remember a year in my competitive career where I lost that many fights. If you look at the whole total of the day, I'm like, okay, with 20 kids, I lost 15 or 20 fights during that day. Every kid gets 4 fights. I was coaching 40 or 50 matches in a day. How do you go back and tell yourself, okay, look, it's hard to manage, was I successful? I got a gold, but I had a couple of kids who didn't do so well. How do you keep yourself motivated seeing the success is kind of all across the board at times?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I try to do is I try to stay positive. And you're right. There's been times where, we had out of, I don't know, 6 athletes that I travel with, 1 athlete does well, and people are congratulating you. But deep down inside, you kind of like, oh, well, only 1 person medal. I expected everybody to medal.
Yeah.
So one thing that I use the same approach with my athletes, because yes, as a coach, maybe I had expectation from an event and we didn't reach it, but you have to also understand how the athletes feel too, right? They're probably bummed, and they're probably disappointed and discouraged. So, I would look at the positives. We would sit down, we would do a lot of video review, and we'll point out all the things that they did well, right? We'll point out all the things they did well right away. Right away, the mentality changes, and from that, we make a plan, for the next competition. So instead of just focusing on the things that they did wrong or on the losses, we kind of look at it. Okay, so what did you actually do well? Okay, this worked. We worked on this. Well, let's take this and just continue building. And and that's been actually a good approach. They seem to like that, and also to make them understand that it's a process, right? We're not going to always win a competition. But at the end of the day, it's the games that counts, right?
Right.
So, looking at the future, looking at the process, that not putting everything on just one competition. So, but you're right. There's been times like that. So I had to quickly change, and I get really attached emotionally. I'm right in there. Like I said, I know these guys, and I feel their pain when they don't win, when they don't, podium like they want to. But I can't feel the same way, because they look to me for answers. They look to me for that little bit of encouragement and motivation. So I had to quickly change things around, and I'm just more of I'm a positive thinker. So I right away, when I start thinking positively and having those positive moments, they tend to change. Their mentality changes. So